Sky Children of the Light was a game I didn't really plan to talk about initially. I honestly was incredibly bored of it. I found it on Steam when it was still a demo, which TGC supposedly forgot it means full game, but without in-app purchases. Whatever. I played mostly on my computer and I spent too much time destroying my corneas, as the game can be brighter than the damn sun. And also, creating carpal tunnel to both of my hands from the furious amount of typing and wholesome emote spamming. In Sky, at the time I just didn't realize that there's so much you can do. From going to places and exploring them to make time for events, also called seasons. Get it? Season pass for the season. They're very beautiful events, filled and packed to the brim with new things, new stories and new art, which happen every 3 months. Otherwise, you can do daily quests or sell your soul to TGC gods via their in-app purchase system. Though, to be completely frank with you, at times it was very confusing. What is the point of the whole game? If you're interested in looking good and playing a dress-up game, welcome to cosmetics. If you're interested in exploring the world, go for it. Explore the world of Sky through its many realms and secrets. If you're really interested in playing instruments, pull them strings and create pieces. When it comes to knowing about all these events, all these things you can do, the game is quite allergic to the whole topic. It is a recurring theme that many people told me. They all struggled to find out more about the game. They had to specifically speak to other people to find out more, or get to googling. And this brings us to the core reason of this whole game, and that is socializing. I will not apologize for what I have done. The greatest thing about Sky is that it's truly the game for the perfect introvert, and it does show its reasons very early on. It has its own way to tell you that, in a way, you can be on your own and also not really. To socialize in this game, it's very difficult for a very good reason, and it's pretty much the best thing ever and the most downright terrifying thing. All other players are designed in grey, and you cannot friend them right away nor interact with them via chat. The only thing they can see are your expressions which you make, like a blow a kiss or say hi to them by waving. Therefore, to properly interact with any of the people in the game, you first have to offer your candle to them, and if they light you back, you can finally see their avatar. From then on, God knows if they're interested in even approaching you. So this means that you can play your card straight up out of the box and offer them a friendship, or perhaps spend some time with them before you decide to do so. With them, you can just do emotes, or perhaps being around them could possibly convince them to have you as a friend. But without chatting, God knows who this person is and God knows what the hell they think of you. For socially anxious people, this is literally hell. But for me, it was absolute comedy. I thought that it is, in all effects, absolutely amazing that a game can somehow lock you behind a wall and tell you to be patient before adding absolutely anybody. And the best part of it is, before you even add anyone, you're absolutely forced to spend white candles. Yes, you heard me right. Making friends in this game costs you actual currency you can spend to buy a cape or something for your house. And plus to this, when you unlock friendships, you cannot just straight up chat with them. Nope, you have to wait to unlock chat as well. To many, this is not only unconventional, but extremely uncomfortable, which is the reason why not very much people are keen to make friends in Sky. But to me, it's amazing, because it tells you, hey, to make friends, it has to be both-sided. There has to be an agreement, an handshake of sorts. It makes friendships everlasting more wholesome and important, as you have to spend your own currency to tighten your emotes with them and make more over-the-top expressions with them, like hugging lightly or hugging them tighter by straight up breaking their ribs. And that is pretty much just partially what you will experience in Sky. From daily events to quests you can do, to stories you can experience, to the spirits and the seasons which pass with newer and exciting events of any type. It's a whole experience. The game is all about experiencing things with others and or with yourself. But before we get too hasty, let's go home first. I would like to show something. For me, it started exactly here, in this zone, home. Javier Village is one of the main areas of this game, and you can explore most of the things you need here. Hairstylist, check. Cape stylist, check. House decoration, check. IRS, check. Fuck. Javier is a simple place where you and other Sky kids live. It's that simple. Yes, there's nothing special about it. Also, the fact there are creatures slightly bigger than us, and those were humans. You see, there is a thing you need to know about this game. It's not just about Sky Kids and being wholesome. It's about life and death. This is pretty much what happened. There was some humans roaming the earth, and we are a child that was once a star. We fell from the sky, and we are owners of a strong and incredibly beautiful thing. Light. Our objective is to free those who still roam this earth, and have the chance to send them back to heaven. It's an incredibly strange but comforting thing to hear, and at the same time, oddly melancholic and depressing. You see, Sky does not really take these topics lightly. It takes the player in a situation of desperation and tells them they're somehow responsible of something so big, so astronomically important that it's almost terrifying. Something we cannot really do unless we are willing. To do anything, just like in life, we do need to move forward. And so, we fly towards the tower which bells ring upon the distance and approach the ancient building. We managed to free one of the first elders thanks to our light, restoring its life and power as we stare unknown on what is going to happen next. This is Sky. I'll try to explain with brevity, for the sake of sanity, what is truly happening here. Sky, Children of the Light, takes command after disastrous events which have happened upon this beautiful land. A terrible and horrendous tragedy has happened upon it which caused its destruction, causing the supposed darkness to take over its entire world and for souls of this earth to scatter around it. These people, it is not very certain if they were once humans, but strongly resemble human forms and behaviors, and are, sadly to admit, all dead. There is no one left. And this game makes you feel extremely isolated, lonely, and sometimes abandoned. All the spirits in this game have just sets of memories in them. They can watch and rewatch. And upon freeing them, they're just gone forever. Okay, before you react like this is a plot of one of the most depressing games known to man, let me clarify that of course there are sky kids just like you, as we mentioned, flying with you and following objectives and lifestyles like you. And sky kids aren't much different from each other outside of height and of course style. Sky kids are very strange and I still cannot put my finger on them. They're extremely similar to humans of this land, but they're incredibly small and exactly look like kids. They have a power that is absurd, which will help us get answers and to fix this broken world. This is light. Yes, it's corny, yes, it's simple, but light is described in the center mass of our kids. Our candles are our heart, and we share this art with those who need it the most, to make them free, to open doors, to make friendships, and to pay taxes. I wasn't sure what to expect at first, but there's much to explore here, so let's see what this abandoned world has to offer us. Starting with Daylight Prairie. Daylight Prairie is a land of grass and of simplicity, filled with really wonderful landscape of flowers and slight wind. It is in all prospects our start of the journey, which we can practice mostly our skills with flying and get to freeing some of the spirits which need help. Which also brings me to gameplay. The gameplay loop is very simple and doesn't really have much. You light up the candle of the spirit, you relive its memories, the spirits makes you learn how to overcome your social anxiety, and then they're sent to the nearest tower so that you can free the elder and free the spirit which you have helped. The main area also teaches you a bit of WL, or also called winged lights, this yellow wing looking thing at the top of our screen. The winged lights are practically the battery of our sky kids and determines how much we can fly before falling and getting a concussion. Another core mechanic is candles, which are practically our fuel. We can obtain wax from it, which works as an in-game currency in this game, and we can buy things with it. And yes, that's it. It's probably already an extreme question mark for everybody here, but the variety of things you can do in Sky after the main story is quite immense and really fun. Plus they already previously list things we spoke about, but let's go back to Daylight Prairie. Daylight Prairie is so far one of my favorites, with a color palette of green and soft whites, giving it almost the look of a giant bed with a pillow, calming and relaxing with its beautiful soundtrack slowly playing in the background. Bright colors, extremely beautiful and free to explore, barely with any obstacles in the way. It's the perfect way to run around in a field and just never stop. Prairie is truly filled with really nice and relaxing spots, filling you with the feeling of safety and quietness altogether. It kind of reminds me of my childhood, and I think most of the game is trying to focus on the whole growing up in the first place. It's making you follow small steps and holding your hand through things, and also trying things out for the first time. We'll try to keep examining this exact assumption of growing up, and I suggest to keep it in mind, but Daylight Prairie really does show that feeling of safety in the player and makes them feel at ease and at home for once. It is also our first encounter with the so-called darkness, which is described in these horrifying looking plants, which I took over these altars. This will also show something incredible about our power, which how much we truly can change. We can burn this darkness in a matter of seconds, and so we clear it, and we meet a beautiful creature called Manta. Those are birds. Yes, bird, like pigeons. We can fly upon them to get to our first temple, which will make us meet our second elder, which is Daylight Prairies. Oh wow, absolutely magnificent. I just absolutely adore the cutscenes of this game. They are so goddamn smooth. The art in this game is so expressive and beautiful to look at, and it never gets old. I just want to clarify though, to keep an eye out also for these cutscenes which we are seeing. Since the game doesn't really have any speech, all of them describe a different type of mood and lifestyle which these humans lived around. Also, these altars which we visit describe deeply what this is all about. Isle of Dawn being somewhat of an entrance to the world which we have to explore, clearly being about boats and transport, and Daylight Prairie filled with pots and pots stacked up on each other, letting us know that previously these people were merchants and were involved either in barters or were the backbone of this society. Upon the Elder Spirit finally regaining its powers, they gave us the possibility to fly over this zone and get to our next place. Oh, Hidden Forest. What a goddamn location this one is. I'm honestly always astonished how well they nailed the rainforest rain sounds for sleeping or studying, white noise rainstorm 10 hours. No, but seriously, people absolutely adore this place and I understand why. It's the literal definition of these videos you can find on YouTube which people watch for hours on end. Hidden Forest is where things already start to get slightly more interesting. Its color palette is so much darker with a musky green and overflowing amount of grayness. The rain hurts you every second you stand directly under it and destroys your wings until you completely fall apart. Therefore, standing still is not recommended and you have to constantly find cover to protect yourself. Those lands are filled with trees everywhere and specific paths which can lead to a beautiful experience, which is very opposite to how Daylight Prairie was, since Daylight Prairie was way more open in its areas, meanwhile this is filled to the brim with trees that can interrupt your paths way more often. It's strangely similar to an experience of loneliness, at the same time of major struggles which usually happens during life, and looking around we can keep seeing posts and places where we can rest our wings to continue our journey, and this place truly is terrifying. Losing light being part of this map is way more ominous than it actually shows, since it's the first actual place which hurts us for just being here. It's a struggle to follow through, but its beauty is almost mesmerizing. It's a mixture between feeling that deep depression inside of you of an uncertain future, and also somehow of a glimpse of life and something more. And so we follow. We free some spirits, we collect some wax, we read some messages, we experience the place slowly, and discover hidden quiet corners. Absolutely astonishing in all its ways. Even if it's so gloomy and sometimes even dark, it feels so liberating and relaxing to a point that a lot of people which I have met can very much connect to. Upon reaching the final zone in this beautiful forest, we're able to build a bridge with our light and freeing it from its darkness, which will give us access to our third temple. In a beautiful scene, the sky frees up and a glimpse of light is shown. Just like a glimpse of hope. Jellyfish pop out of the water and the rain stops immediately. Giving us the go. The temple here is absolutely amazing, and we can observe its complexity. Upon the opening of this gate, we can finally travel to a new zone once again. This one, extremely filled with light. I absolutely adore snow. I don't know what it is about it, but its sounds and also its softness always astonished me. But damn, it's fucking cold in here. What is this? Russia in 1982? Valley of Triumph is a strange place to me. It's rough on edges and makes you feel like you kinda belong here, but not really. The color palette here is all over the place. Whites are mostly the main color, which you will see. This kind of feeling of pureness, even if not sure if this is it. Many buildings which have also this dark blue-gray color, and its ornaments, which are incredibly beautiful. But its entire world is really dark in general. All of it is very odd. It almost feels like everything is so bland, just like rice without salt. This is where I pretty much started to feel very uneasy. I probably took this game too lightly when I started playing, but here I felt unsafe and also incredibly nervous. Like something is up with all of this. A cold wind and an extremely quiet and isolated place like this gives nothing else but strange vibes. But the beauty of it is truly unique. Valley has this design of something extremely challenging. And effectively, this shows the incredibly intricate buildings and the extremely beautiful statues of winners of this world. That's truly mesmerizing. A small city which you can visit, a tiny theater you can go to. It all feels like you are around adults and you are around people who made a living of their winnings. I believe Valley scores into one of my favorites, even if I like Daylight Prairie more, because of how grounded Valley feels. It's all over your face and it does not lie or hide. It's an extremely interesting place to visit, and also in its way something so strangely unique, because even if we don't want to, even if we don't really ask for it, we are faced ourselves with a challenge. And that challenge is a race. A race within time against other players is something I genuinely did not expect from this game, but here we are. This is one of the only acts of competitiveness this game actually gives away in this main story. The who arrives first wins, which I must add a note though. I'm kind of confused and I'm not fully sure if what they meant is to destroy the competition or not. The whole race feels like something related to Olympics, which is clearly celebrated in the past. Rather, it just feels like a competitive environment, a festivity, you could say. Which brings me to the end of this race, and it brings me to the most interesting part of it. The Colosseum. This Colosseum is possibly one of the most beautiful things ever. I'm just amazed by Colosseums in general, perhaps because I personally studied a bit of old Greek theater and how they usually looked like, but they're so beautiful and unique and I cannot stop gushing about them. And this Colosseum is fucking huge, and it feels like it's so much bigger than our Sky Kids, to a point that it feels like it's overbearing. Overwhelming even. But there's nothing much here. It's heavily depressing to look at. There's no one, nothing, nada. There's old decoration which are extremely colorful of a previous past, but that is it. The triumphant look of it is extremely apparent. This place shows someone with insane skills has built it from the ground up. There's no simplicity here and it shows in the entirety of Valley really. It's clear that it's about growing up and building extremely complex things into our mind and outside. It's like a whole organism on its own. Therefore, we open the gates. We progress further after a hard-fought victory. We are met with an altar of sorts and someone actually magnificent and coordinated will meet us. And so we are free once again to move forward. But this time around, not something new and beautiful. Rather, a land abandoned. One which death dominates its internals. Rotten, broken, and solitary. The Golden Wasteland. Golden Wasteland is a desolate wasteland, but it hides an incredibly dark secret and an incredible disturbing story behind it. I really hate to bring the mood down, but from now on, we're going to keep a tone which is more serious. You see, Sky is definitely a game that so far has shown a confused idea and also a very clear one of what it's trying to be, but it never really did feel hostile. In reality, it always felt very flexible and soft on the player's eyes. Even Valley didn't really feel aggressive. It just doesn't provoke any feel of negativity surrounding it either. Usually when it comes to other areas outside of GW, we're looking at very soft and bright. All of them feel like there's some hope behind it. Probably the one which was the most depressing so far could be a Hidden Forest, and that is honestly debatable. Golden Wasteland is horrendous, and I say it with much certainty. All the colors gone. All the things which we once explored are completely out of reach. This place is absolutely horrendously huge, like it was built by giants, overbearing and triumphant in ways which are terrifying, just like a city almost. There is a very small amount of light and torches visible in sight in this map, and there's an overbearing color pattern of green and a fog which obstructs views. It's disgusting. It feels moldy. There is an incredibly large amount of darkness of the entire place that it surrounds it. This place is abandoned, destroyed to pieces, flooded with black goo, which upon walking it ships away your energies. It's like it's seen horrible things happening, and honestly, it's going to make sense just afterwards. But we must move forward, and here, one of the most horrendous beasts reveals itself. Krills. Krills are a species of animals which is completely opposite to everything we have seen into this world. When we saw mantas, we thought they were cute, bright, friendly and helpful. Krills, on the other hand, are hurtful, disgusting and pitch fucking black. Krills are effectively the ones and only enemies which you can meet in the storyline in Sky, and they truly are a pain in the ass. They attack by spawning you, and upon going red, after some time they rush into you and straight up destroy your wings, causing irreparable damage unless you're quick enough to regain them and possibly go home or find light nearby as soon as possible. I just cannot imagine the pain which your Sky Kids receive here is, because it's possibly horrendous. It feels so wrong to just be here, so wrong to put our Sky Kids through it. But it will all make sense. It always does. All which has crossed through here has died, and this place shows exactly that. And so you wonder, why is this happening? How is this happening? What the hell just happened here? Well, before we get to our next experience, I must give a premise. Sky Children of the Light so far hasn't provided much information to the player. As long as you follow many cues and just explore, you can find many things and information about the situations here at hand, because it's actually trying its best to make the player find it themselves. The game always felt, to me, off, and it was always hiding something incredibly dark behind, and honestly, I was not too far off. I think I realized what is going on here, and it starts and ends with that goddamn mountain. That mountain in the distance that you have been seeing in some of the zones which we explored is something that taunts us all the time. The absolute power of this exact tower is ever so lasting, insanely present in this game. And it's honestly possibly the reason why this war has happened. I will try my best to give my own representation of how the game goes, and this is just a theory, given that there's not much to go for, specifically if you only play the main story. Before Sky Kids even existed, a land which was lived by humans was still ever present, living in harmony and trying to survive with each other through the different realms they still lived in. Upon time passing by, there was a discovery that energy could have been took with the help of starlight. Therefore, if we think about stars themselves, we think about those who were present from the sky itself, and judging by the immense size of the mountain, it was probably the closest to the starlight. And so, what did the humans do? They took this starlight and made possible to use it. But at some point, recklessness was pretty much the reason why everything truly went to the point of no return. May I be an elder of this mountain, or someone else, that caused something horrible to happen. The mountain, which has this extreme light coming out of it, and possibly the brightest on them all, can be and possibly is their starlight reactor. Thinking about it as a nuclear reactor, just like an energy filled piece of technology that was made to power its entirety of the world. And I believe that this reactor was practically overloaded to a point it sent a shockwave and exploded. It made the entire world succumb into darkness, caused massive destruction, therefore making this world reaching a point of chaos. Until so far, we have seen the things which remain on this world intact, the things which are still there and weren't affected by the blast. In reality, from Daylight Prairie to Valley of Triumph, we can even say that these people possibly never collaborated or were never attached to this famous reactor. Perhaps they were helpers somehow and provided these resources to expand the starlight energy all over their lands, but this is never truly sure. In my personal opinion, it all started from two places, both Golden Wasteland and Vault of Knowledge, which is going to be the next zone we will explore. And they are absolutely peak of civilization, therefore those who own the most and possibly control the most as well. I feel like this mountain was the cause of it all, the cause of all the destruction, the war, the desperation of humans, and that's why all of this happened. Possibly after the events of this explosion, there was a horrible war going on, which included multiple people fighting and destroying absolutely everything in their path to get to the vault, and perhaps to get to the mountain itself. It's possible that thousands of people died trying to survive another day, and the war, as expected, was futile for all of them. All returned to dust. The vault, possibly the safest place which lasted the most, and possibly the one which owned the most resources to access to, and the reason why the reactor exploded. This is never sure, but that war that happened in Golden Wasteland and those weapons and barriers surrounding the opening of the vault, it speaks volumes of what kind of importance this place must have had to the people. And I can just imagine that most people in the end died. Unsure from what? Maybe illness or possibly, horrendously, starvation. It is not sure what they were feeding from, or what they were drinking from. Water is still available and accessible in the whole game, but I believe the darkness plays a role in the loss of humanity as a whole, which it is not truly described, but this destruction must have been so heavy that it caused for everything human to go fully extinct. We, as Sky Kids, we definitely came afterwards the world has gone to disarray, when all have died and things have perished. Until proven contrary, perhaps we were sent by the elders of this land to save save the world which they build, something they deeply regret destroying. I believe there are no Sky Kids, plural, so this means that there's just us, which is accomplishing this task. And the reason which we exist is everlasting more confusing to me. I have some ideas, but without jumping to the end, let's first go forth and try our best to the next big stop, one of the biggest and most important, Vault of Knowledge. Vault is insane. And I say this in a way which is to me in every single way baffling. I am sorry that I geek so much about all these places, but the art of this game is just so fucking good. I am having such a blast. And plus to that, the way that they represent all the places is so well, very much studied and detailed and loved, with so much things hidden behind them. Vault of Knowledge feels exactly like the name. A place where knowledge was greatly and sacrilegiously preserved into this entire tower. It is a place where most spirits are on effects elders, possibly practicing different tasks every day to keep the world afloat, just like a government. As shown in different situations, there is clearly this famous starlight power at full force here, where everything is absolutely powered by the idea of light. From the elevator, which we are using, which is usable only thanks to our light, all of here is just filled to the brim with light. The absolute massiveness and overbearing hugeness which this place gives is incredible. It is almost infinite. It tells a story of magic, of incredible size, an insane task of determination and power which has only been achieved by hard work and absolute utter study. Vault of Knowledge is the only zone in the entire game showing the color blue as its primary color of choice and yellow its secondary, just like the midnight sky, which fits perfectly into the idea that they were doing the most accurate and possible way to replicate the perfect environment for stars themselves, perhaps to give them the most power and to be the most visible. There's so much into this place that it's hard to describe to words, but floating platforms are ever present, the music plays around us, shows the delicacy of learning about the things around you, of floating into new knowledge, to slowly learn about things you've never seen before. Mysterious and at the same time so hopeful, calming and also so cautious. But Vault of Knowledge is split into 4 different floors. Floor 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All floors have their own buildings, their own structures, all unique, all absurd, all floaty, really showing us that this world is filled with the power of starlight, dominated by it. So we go up and up and up until we reach the top. If you have been paying attention to the cutscenes, you may or may have not questioned why this door in question is lighting up per every Elder Free. And well, the reason why it does is because it gives us entrance to one specific place. That place is the peak of the mountain, or the Eye of Eden. Oh dear death, we meet again. Eden is the most heartbreaking and most terrifying place you will ever encounter in this world. It's something so horrible, raw. It made me so terrified. Eden is the true meaning of destruction. Loud sounds of a raging storm, a horrible amount of things trying to kill you, and a wind which kicks you back if you even try to fly off from the ground. This place does not want you here. This place does not want anything alive. It is in disarray. Everything is, from the music to the sounds to the surroundings, which we are currently fighting in. It's barely resembling what it truly once was. The place is filled with grime and darkness everywhere, an incredibly aggressive environment filled to the brim with krills and rocks which fly by at the speed of sound. We walk by and keep pushing, trying to resist the horrendous wind and the dangers ahead. Then we notice something almost traumatizing. We aren't the first. And we certainly could just not be the last. Sacrifice. Sacrifice was the answer to it all. It's a mere concept, but yet it's so powerful that upon leaving our bodies, we can free those which we have left behind. The souls which we have saved, the other Sky Kids who have failed. We are the symbol, the one who will make history today as stars of the sky. Until this point, we thought we were small, insignificant, and lowly. A world filled with isolation like this, which held so much love that has been left behind. These memories which we encountered and the remains of a human world. But in reality, this wasn't it. It was never like that. And so we fly towards all the places which we have in a way or the other visited. Similarity in patterns and things we have already seen before. The entirety of the story, it all leads to something which terrified me. Terrified me so many times. Death. We are one of the only members to ever exist, to have brought the end to this loop. We are sacrificing ourselves to properly close this land forever. With the spirits which will help us in the end of it all of us, we are finally free. And upon dry sand and water, I hear the voices of those who brought me upon this earth. The things I explored and the places I visited. Forevermore in one soul. I've been thinking about all of this for months now. I'm almost unsure what to feel. And in the end, it's so beautiful. It's a painting. It's a clear canvas with the options which they gave us. Sky, in a way, gave me what I needed the most in a video game in some time. And that is peace. The idea behind Sky is not about the cosmetics or the fastest you can collect candles or how you can decorate your house the prettiest. It's all about those we meet, those who will remember us, those who want us in our lives. It's about the experiences we go through. The painting is there. A world which has lost its meaning meets a star which fell from the sky. The star falls upon land which has once been inhabited, but now completely destroyed by the results of greed, the results of carelessness of those around us. The mistake, Eden, was what doomed all. And so the humans fought recklessly with violence to achieve what? More violence, to get closer to the end of it all. And this begs the questions like, was it curiosity? Was it a mistake? Was it hope? Did we really need starlight? It was a way to make the world better for them, but not truly knowing what they were dealing with. And perhaps this was the reason why the power of starlight brought this destruction. Perhaps they took too much. They perhaps got too detached from their people. And so it happened. We freed them from their land and sent them back to the sky. It all goes back to the box. I wish to abstain from properly writing a good nor a bad thing about Sky. I have found myself absolutely lost into its structure. And yet I'm bound to say this is possibly one of the games that has flipped my life upside down. I am not sure what it is. I don't know, is it because there are emotes which are so expressive? Is it the physics, the story, the promises behind it? Or the friendships you can make? Whatever it is, I have fell in love with it. And I'm so happy to have played this. To have had this experience. Because it's so beautiful and so amazing to a point that nothing else can cross its path for me. So instead of rambling and trying to find words, I decided to write all of this as a thank you. Because this video is to the people I met, to the countless hours talking, to the spectacular views, to the small creeks, to the beautiful wind, to the beautiful life the game gave me. From the soft sand to the white sky, to the beautiful land we sit and the house we built, to the hugs we felt and the words that hurt, to the floating boats onto water and those who perish when time takes a toll, to the candles who have been lit and provided us warmth, to the rain who made us safe, but also hurt us in our course. And in particular, this is to you.
And these photos that I take will probably wash away. I hope the memories will remain. And when it all goes up in flames and the ashes blown away, I hope it all was for something. And when life stops being fun and you're out there on the run, I hope you still enjoy the sun. When we're stripped of all